So we're going to record this session. So that other need to go back and view it at a later time, they can do that. And then we'll make the recording available to all of you as well. So again, welcome to the New York State Parenting Education Partnership. This is the Community Coalition's Request for Applications webinar. And our intention today really is to do a couple of things. One, we want to give you a little bit of background information about NYSPEP. So we'll spend some time looking at history and our goals and the work that we're doing. And then from there, we'll move and talk about the request for applications itself, provide you some general information. Certainly, there'll be some time for questions. We also have along on the call today several members from NYSPEP itself. Rosanna Countermain is here, Kate. Hello, and I'm not sure, I don't know if we have anyone else, but if you are a member of NYSPEP and you're here and want to call out, please feel free to do that. I know that we have right now looking like about 30 people on the phone. We don't want to take a lot of time to do introductions. We've scheduled an hour for this call. But we would love it if you would, in the chat box, just share who you are and where you're from, what organization. That would really help us a great deal. Again, we're thrilled that you're interested in this work. We're glad that you're here today with us, and we look forward to having you be a part of this work going forward. Another word relative to the chat box, we are monitoring that. So as we go, if you have questions, please feel free to put those there. Like I say, we'll have a little more formal time for questions a little bit later, but certainly know that you can put things to the chat box. As we move through the presentation today and the discussion, I will certainly be sharing some things, but Kate, Rosanna, other members of NYSPEP as they join us will have things to contribute. So it's a joint process. We'll work together. We want this to be as informative as it can be for you as you're preparing. So please feel free to ask questions. We want to make this a great session.
You have.
Just a reminder, please mute yourself if you have joined us and you're not on mute. We want to make sure that everyone has a chance to share who they are in the chat box. And with that, we are going to go ahead and get started. So again, just mention to Kate and Rosanna, if you have comments that you'd like to share, please feel free to jump in and bring those forward. The New York State Parenting Education Partnership is a coalition group that's working across the state of New York. We'll talk about history in just a couple of minutes, but you'll see in front of you our vision and our mission. This group of parenting educators, individuals that are a part of state agencies, people that care about parents and a number of communities across the state. All of those people involved have really made a commitment to really building the sort of opportunities for parent educators, for parents, for community workers, to really be able to expand and build on the sort of things that give strength to families across our state. A little bit of history about the New York State Parenting Education Partnership. It was established in 2007. It really from the beginning has been designed as a private-public partnership, and meaning that we have a set of conveners that are state agencies along with Prevent Child Abuse New York, and I wear a couple of hats on this call. I'm the executive director with Prevent Child Abuse New York, but then I'm also the co-chair of New York State Parenting Education Partnership really was intended to create this sort of opportunity where state agencies who were invested in this work around parenting education could work directly with the coalition and the partnership to really develop and build out this work. The conveners you can see are the Office of Children and Family Services, State Education Department, Council on Children and Families, Prevent Child Abuse New York, and then the Office of Mental Health has been a long-term ongoing funder of this work along with these other state agencies. And I would like to just pause and give a special shout out to our state agencies that have been committed to this work. The Office of Mental Health has provided funding and guidance to the work, as well as the Council on Children and Families, the Office of Children and Family Services. So all of this work would not be possible without the support of our various state partners. In 2017, NYSPEP began to really think about the work that we were doing. We'll take a look at kind of the broad set of projects that we have going in a couple of minutes, but really began to look at all of that work together and think about how do we really build out and reach more people, more communities that are working on parenting education across the state. And so from that series of conversations, this work that we're talking about today really was born, that we wanted to use some of the resources of NYSPEP to create opportunities for communities to really partner, come alongside of NYSPEP for a one-year opportunity to really do a number of different things, including build some professional development opportunities, to work to build some work around parent leadership and community cafes. We'll talk more about all of those in just a couple of minutes. But what we've discovered is that there's been great response to this. It's greatly enhanced kind of where NYSPEP is at and the profile that we have across the state. So we're glad that we have this opportunity to provide to communities. These are our guiding principles. And I'm not going to read through all of these, but I'll leave these up for a couple of minutes. For those of you who have the actual request for applications in front of you, you'll notice that these guiding principles are referenced in that document as well. We do take these very seriously. These are things that we've kind of swallowed down in, and they've become a part of who NYSPEP is and the work that we're doing ongoing. Whenever we think about a new project, a new idea, a new piece of work that we want to engage around, these are things that we have in front of us to help guide those processes. I'll pause there just to see if Kate, Rosanna, if you have any anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, Tim, I'm just looking at the chat box, and I just want to note where we seem to have folks joining from. We have folks from Jefferson County, Long Island region, New York City, Yonkers, Hudson Valley, Central and Western New York, and of course the Capital region. And that looks like it's a mixture of nonprofits, DSS, counseling centers, schools, home visiting programs. So welcome, everyone. And we do have one question so far. Will we be able to receive this PowerPoint?
Yes, we will send out the PowerPoint, so you'll have access to it, as well as the recording. We'll send the recording along too. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you again for joining us. I think that broad array of people that we have on the call today is really representative of NYSPEP, and we're excited. I'm excited to hear that. I think um, we have members from all of the areas of the state that that you mentioned, Rosanna, and we're thrilled things in opportunity education is there's a lot of it that's happening in a lot of different forms. So, whether it's school districts or family resource centers or health, county health, public health, all of these various entities are doing this work already, and we're excited to be able to partner with you. So, couple of comments about the structure of NICEPEP, just so folks have a little clearer understanding of that. We have a set of conveners, and I mentioned that earlier. So there's a group that works together to provide some kind of bigger picture oversight, and also works to provide funding. And then there's an executive committee, and and I see Susan Perkins has stayed on this slide. Susan Perkins was our past co-chair. Kristen Weller is our current co-chair with the Council on Children and Families. And then myself, Tim Hathaway, I'm also a co-chair of the executive committee. We have a steering committee that has, at this point, approaching 20 members from across the state that are really focused on operational decisions and programmatic content guidance, and then a set of work groups that provide ongoing operational support to the work of NICEPEP. And for this project in particular, the community connections work group that you see listed there is closely aligned with and supportive of this work related to community development, community grants. And then Prevent Child Abuse New York acts as the fiscal agent and provides staffing to the coalition. Scope of work. So what we are working on is these areas related to strengthening capacity for community coalitions. And so as you're joining us today, we are hoping that you are here because of your involvement with a local community coalition of people. It's not required that you have a fully formed coalition at this point, but that is something that we hope will be engaged in this work, is that you will have a set of partners at the local level who are all invested in this body of work together. So it is something that, from our perspective, when we first conceptualized this body of work, it was really about how do we work with those coalitions at a community level to build the sort of strength and depth that really moves parenting education efforts forward at a local level. Levers of change, protective factors is our framework always, and I think many of you are familiar with protective factors. If you're not, please let us know. We can help provide some references to that work. But the levers of change that we believe are in play are systems that touch families and parent education, the professionals themselves who do this work, whether you're an administrator in a program or a policymaker or a professional that is directly providing parenting education, and then also parents themselves. So we believe strongly in this idea that we need to have parents at the table as an active part, active voice in the work that's happening. As you can see, the project is set to begin March 1 and February 28 of 22, so it crosses a year. It is about cross systems, so we know that this effort works most effectively when there are multiple disciplines that are joining in the work, and I've mentioned a few of those. Each each community has a different set of people that are coming to the table to do coalition work. We think that it's important to have parenting educators and parents as a part of that. And then from there, you're going to have any number of different representatives that are at the table and have a part. This is about a shared plan between the community and NYSPEP. This is not an experience where if you're awarded, we'll just write a check and say good luck. We do see it as an ongoing relationship, and we want to encourage that and support that. It is very much about professional development activities, very much about parent partnership led and leadership activities. And then there is an element of evaluation that is important to what we're doing. So I want to stop there and just check on the chat box. Kate, Rosanna, any items in the chat box, questions that we want to address now, or comments that either of you would like to bring forward?
There's no new questions at this time in the chat box.
Okay. Wonderful.
And thank you, Tim. I just wanted to emphasize the point you made about it being a relationship between NYSPEP and the community coalitions who are awarded, and that what we hope for is an ongoing relationship even after the year of the grant.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and thanks for that, Kate, because I think that's one of the things that has been really important, and I see that we've got actually a couple of people who have been involved with this work in the past, in previous years, and that is part of what we really hope will happen is that even though it's a one-year period on the grant, that it will continue to be an ongoing relationship. So we're glad to see some of our past community representatives with us today as well. Let's talk.
We do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Pam asks, can you give an example of a program that works now in this way? So I wonder if she's talking about an example of a current cohort.
So I think if I understand the question, and Pam, correct me if I go the wrong direction here, but a good example would be right now we're working with a county in the North Country, and that's a school district that was initially kind of the group that brought the request forward. The school district has been working with a number of community partners, and they really were initially drawn to this work because of their interest in the parent cafe model. They had dabbled a little bit in parent cafes. They were very interested in exploring that, and they saw this as a way to kind of build out that experience. So I don't know if that completely helps you. As we move through some of the next slides that talk about specific engagement pieces, then maybe some of that comes a little bit more clear, but hopefully that helped a little bit.
And also, Tim, I would add that on the same page of the NYSPEP website where you go to look at the application, as you scroll down, you can I see that we could add some description, but there are a list of the cohorts from the last couple of years.
Oh, thank you for that. Oh, and so Kate, I'm so glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention, so our website, many of you have that already, but our website is NYSPEP, NYSPEP .org. So NYSPEP.org, and you can find us, and you will find the application, the RFA, right there on the website as well. So beginning to look a little more specifically at what's involved in the project. So professional development has been and continues to be one of the primary drivers of the work of NYSPEP. Again, it's kind of what we started with, the original recognition that individuals, professionals who were doing parenting education really needed a lot of support in that role. And so what we are partnering with communities on um, is a large focus on professional development. So Strong Roots is the first piece there. Strong Roots is kind of a phrase that we stuck relative to professional development opportunities. For a number of years, NYSPEP offered Strong Roots events across the state, and those Strong Roots events were really led by the membership and the staff of NYSPEP. As we moved into this community work much more deeply, we've really asked that the communities begin to partner with NYSPEP to create these Strong Roots events. So part of the work of this project, again, if you're awarded, if you're thinking about applying, is to, at a community level, create this Strong Roots event. And these have typically been a day-long event where there is a speaker that is focused on a need or an idea that's been identified at the community level that you really want to provide some additional resources and professional development to the community with. And so those, what that topic of that work looks like is in many ways up to the community. Some examples in the past that we have used, we've had groups that have done Strong Roots that are focused on the issue of um, uh, equity in the community. We've had some that are really focused on protective factors framework. We've had others that are a little more focused on building parent leaders. We've had some that are focused on the area of, in fact, we have one that's scheduled for later this year that's focused on the issue of healthy sexuality and the importance of that issue. So there's a lot of different places that communities will want to go and want to think about. NYSPEP is here to kind of help guide those discussions with recipients of the project. So that's Strong Roots. We also have a series of webinars that NYSPEP has provided over time. NYSPEP staff and steering committee put those webinars in place so that the community itself does not need to do those, but they are available and we encourage the community to take advantage of those. We also do a training institute every year. For a lot of years that was held in the spring. It has moved, especially with COVID. We've had to make some adjustments, as all of you have, I'm sure as well. But the Training Institute is a day-long event that NYSPEP has sponsored and developed in concert with our partners, really to provide really in-depth opportunities related to this work around professional development. Kate has been very involved in that work. Kate, do you want to just maybe give us just a little bit of a flavor of what that Training Institute looks like?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for giving me that opening, Tim. You know, I can talk about that all day. So we really focus, as Tim has said, on providing a professional development opportunity. It generally includes a keynote speaker and then an opportunity for interactive workshops or groups in the afternoon. The last couple of years, our topics have included how trauma affects parenting, um, uh, being respectful to all cultures, working with refugee and immigrant families, working with fathers. So we really try to, and this year, how could I forget that one? The one that we just had virtually focused on using storytelling as a tool for resilience. And we welcome suggestions for future topics.
So again, the Training Institute is something that NYSPEP and its membership puts together, But for communities that are selected to be a part of this, we strongly encourage that they participate. We love it when they can attend. This year, of course, it was virtual, but as we move forward, we hope that it will be in person again. And we strongly encourage that communities bring parents to that event as well. We always design it with parents in mind too. Um, the credential is another part of the work we do around professional development. So NYSPEP has a parenting educator credential, and that's a rich body of work that has been done. At our website, you can find additional information if you are interested in pursuing a parenting education credential. We would love to talk with you about that. We are in our, I bet we're in our 12th year of the credential. There are a number of those people that are involved directly with NYSPEP at the steering committee level, but then there are lots of those folks who are working in the field as parenting educators. And the credential really has been an opportunity for them to grow their skills and their knowledge about how to do this work well across the state. Website and e-news, we've already mentioned the website at nyspep.org, but we also do provide an e-newsletter that goes out to partners and providers across the state. I'm going to move us on. Parent partnerships and leadership. So one of the things that has been really effective and important to this work is bringing parents to the table, both to solicit their input, but then also to create some opportunities for them to step forward and take on and grow their sense of leadership in this work. In your community, I'm sure you already have parents that are working as leaders and as partners. This is one more opportunity to help build that out. The community cafe model, for those of you that are not familiar, is one that has been used across the nation to create dialogue opportunities at the community level. There is a link in the application to the cafe work, so you can get some more information about that. But the intention here is to provide communities that are awarded with an opportunity to be trained in the community cafe model. So we'll provide training with a parent leader that has done work both nationally as well as across the state of New York in community cafes. So that opportunity would be provided. And then we'll allow and support communities in providing community cafes at the local level as well. And we want to see up to 5 cafes provided at the community level. The mini grants, I'll just mention that quickly, that overall the project allows $5,000 to communities. So we get it. It's not a ton of money, but it certainly does provide a great starting place for communities. We do have at our website, we have a searchable database related to community level resources. And so if you go to our website and look for find parenting resources, that's a place where you can type in what you're looking for and then find information, hopefully in your community, about what's happening related to parenting education resources. And then we have, for a number of years, wanted to bring to the front resources that are available at the community level. One example here is the New Parent Guide, and that is available through the Council on Children and Family. And so those type of resources we think are very important in terms of building parent partnership and leadership and resources for providers. So again, thinking about this project in particular, what NYSPEP is ready to provide in terms of support um, is one overall project guidance. So for communities that are awarded, we're ready to provide kind of some ongoing support as you're developing the various pieces of this. And so again, it's kind of back to that idea. It's not just that we'll write a check and say good luck. We really want to have this sort of ongoing relationship where, as you're putting together your plan, we're in contact and available to help support that. We do have staff of the partnership that can provide technical assistance in terms of development of action plans and the events and the meetings and the evaluation. So that those staff are ready and kind of at your disposal to begin to build out some of the work. Peer support. So we have, as a feature of this work, a learning collaborative, and that learning collaborative meets on a regular basis. It's made up of staff from the partnership and members of the various community coalitions that have been selected, not just in the current year, but also it's available for communities that have received the funding in the past. So those individuals are available to kind of help support and build the work that's happening currently. Training and technical assistance, the community cafes I've mentioned already, that we will provide a day-long train the trainer event on community cafes for all of the communities, and that's free of charge. NYSPEP provides that. We also offer a 1-day protective factors training to communities that are interested. So again, that's available free of charge. And then technical assistance on development of the Strong Roots professional day that would happen at the community level. Support for community initiatives to address parenting education activities. So again, we know that communities have a wealth of things that are already happening. NYSPEP and the membership of NYSPEP also has lots of experience about this work. We're certainly happy to provide guidance and input as you move forward on the project. There is this strong emphasis on parent participation. Part of the funding is baked in, so there are dollars within that $5,000 that can be used to support parent participation. If communities are looking for additional resources around parenting participation and how to get parents to the table through those real needs. Parents aren't paid for this work, so sometimes they do need some additional support. NYSPEP is willing to help try and locate some additional dollars for grantees to make that happen. Protective factors instrument, the family assessment tool. We'll talk more about that. Again, this is referenced in the RFA, but we do ask that recipients of the grant are doing some work around the family assessment tool. We'll talk more about that. And then for communities that are awarded, you're considered a NYSPEP member. Anybody can become a NYSPEP member. We encourage you to check that out at our website as well. All right, so let's pause there. Questions?
Thank you. Tim, we have a question from C. Semizek. She's asking if the parent participation, is that included in the $5,000, that stipend for parent participation?
Yes, so in terms of allowable costs, for those of you that kind of live in that space, certainly supporting parent involvement is a part of that. So things like if parents need support on childcare, or if they need some assistance around transportation to get to meetings, or I know one of the things with COVID that has become so important is sometimes parents need support around getting access to video conferencing and those kind of things. So we do hope that some of the resources in that $5,000 will be used in that way. And I will say also that NYSPEP has made a commitment to finding dollars if we need to find more dollars to support parents. I think that speaks to our commitment to this area. So we won't make promises about an exact dollar amount, but what we will say is that we're going to work hard is awarded and trying to figure out how do we support this parent piece. We're going to shoulder in next to you and figure out a way to find some dollars to make that happen. Other questions?
We had a question a while ago about if this was not a link that someone directly received, how would they get the webinar and the PowerPoint? So Kate and I have been working on collecting the emails and wondering if there's a way to also post that on the NYSPEP website.
Yes, to all of that. So yes, thank you both for getting those emails. We'll, for people that are on the call, make sure you drop your email in, and then absolutely we can post this at the website as well.
All right, that's it for right now. Thank you.
Okay, great. So evaluation, just a couple of words about evaluation. So for those people who are who receive the funding, we do ask that they put together these protective factor surveys with families. So for those of you that don't know what that is, let's just give a couple of minutes of detail on that. So protective factors, of course, is the framework. So we talk a lot about the 5 protective factors, about parent resilience, about child resilience, about concrete support in time of need, about making sure that parents have access to knowledge and skills related to child rearing. Those are all pieces that we know build parents' ability within their community context to really do the best that they can for their children. And so that protective factors framework has been translated, as it were, into a survey that can be used with families. And that survey is really very simple to administer. It's something that many programs across the state are already using as a way to kind of look at how are parents access and understanding of protective factors. How's that their understanding of this building and growing over time? And so for people that are awarded, we'll work with you to get that survey in place. It's really just designed for our purposes to have 10 families engaged in that, but know that that's out there. Again, if you're interested and you want to find out more information about that, if you do a Google search on protective factors survey, you're gonna get access to that survey and what it looks like. Also part of the evaluation process are event surveys. So for Strong Roots and other professional development events that you might have at a community level, we're asking that participants complete an evaluation for that specific event. And then the Cafe Harvest is another important piece. We talk about the harvest as being really the information that's generated out of the cafe process. So as I mentioned, cafes are really about dialogue and creating dialogue at a community level. What always happens in that cafe setting are that people bring lots of different ideas to the table about how to do this work, how to improve conditions at the community level. And that body of information we ask grantees to collect and do a little bit of work in terms of organizing that with us. And then that becomes a part of the evaluation material for the project. There is an action plan, and that is something that we really see as focused on the question of how does this project change the landscape at the community level? So for those groups that are awarded, we're really interested in um, what's changing relative to this work of um, parenting education and parent leadership in your community. And so the action plan that we're asking grantees to complete is really about or has the elements of it in terms of sustainability. So how do we certainly do the work that we're focused on in this 1 year grant period, also that's continue to grow and build over time. The question of systems change, what's happening in the systems that is moving forward. How are we meeting the goals that we set out for ourselves for this project in particular? Um, but then also, how are we meeting goals around partnership and growing the coalition of individuals that are interested in developing this work? That action plan format, once uh, coalitions are awarded, then our staff, that's part of the technical assistance, will work with the coalition to complete that action plan. There is a year-end reporting format, and again, we've tried to focus on how do we make this simple and easy for people. You can see the pieces of that are really trying to get at some of these questions. Um, what changes happened? What does growth look like? What was your goal? How do you would you assess your success? Those kind of questions, um, along with some data summaries and financial reporting. It's $5,000. So we want to remind people again, we know it's not a lot of money. So we're not going to drag anybody through a huge financial reporting process. In brief, what we need to know is how the money has been engaged uh, in the work that you've done locally. All right, so questions. So we have about uh, 18 minutes to just handle questions. What are you wondering? What didn't we cover that you'd like us to cover?
Just as a note, Tim, I did put a link for the Friends National Resource Center to the protective factors information in the chat box. And right now we don't have any questions coming in.
Okay.
Do you want people to unmute themselves or just keep typing?
Either way, you can unmute yourself or you can just throw something in the chat box. I do want to welcome Susan Perkins. Susan is a member of NYSPEP. We're glad that you were able to make it, Susan. I'm going to say a word about COVID, and then I don't know if other people have comments, other NYSPEP members. What we found this past year was that COVID was a game changer, not a surprise to you, but for those communities that were involved with NYSPEP over the last year who have really been with us through COVID, it really interrupted much of the work. And so we found ourselves, just like you've done throughout this year, making adjustments and accommodations. So much of what we have done, what communities have done, had to move to online kind of work. As COVID and recovery progresses, we have no crystal ball about that, but we understand that your community, if it's awarded, may need to make some accommodations related to this. We're certainly happy to talk about those accommodations. So that we see that as just part of who we are in terms of being flexible and understanding that communities and families have to roll with the punches. Comments?
Tim, we have questions coming in, so I'm going to start with Yes Community. Their question is, can you expand more regarding the use of strengthening families?
The protective factor specifically, or the tool, the protective factor assessment?
They elaborated again. Strengthening families, protective factors, framework, and eligibility.
Okay, so the framework itself, again, is those 5 protective factors, and Rosanna put the link so you can go and take a look at that large, expansive body of work around the protective factors. NYSPEP really has taken these on and uses them as a framework in what we're doing. We do offer a day-long training that participants can access. So if you're not selected, you can still contact us, NYSPEP, and we'll help you get connected to protective factors training. But the training really kind of walks through what are the protective factors, how do we apply them at the community level. Many of these things you're already inherently doing. This is a way to be much more intentional about building protective factors at the community level. The assessment piece of that is really a questionnaire that families go through with oftentimes coupled with a professional that they care about and trust. That questionnaire asks parents to think about the various protective factors that may be at play in their own family's life. And then typically within a 6-month, that same tool is delivered again with the family, so the family has a chance to reflect back on, as well as kind of think about where they're at today. Uses the same questions, but invites them to kind of think about how have things changed over time for our family and what's happening. Hopefully that gets to that question.
Thank you. The next question comes from Angela. She's asking, can you restate how and what the $5,000 can be used for?
Yes. So the funding is, and I'm smiling because we have a lot of discussion about this at NYSPEP. What we know is that we want to make this funding as flexible as it possibly can be for you. So we're more likely to say yes than no related to this. It does need to be focused on delivery of the project elements. And so that's Strong Roots, that's parent cafes, all of the pieces that are outlined in the RFA. What we know is that we've had communities go a lot of different directions with that funding. And so our broad response is that if you're selected, we're going to say to you, how would you like to spend the money? And then you're going to say, this is what we'd like to do to accomplish the deliverables. And then it's likely that where you're going, if it aligns with the deliverables, is going to make a lot of sense to us. If we have questions with NYSPEP, we're going to ask you to clarify that and work through that with us. But examples are, we've had people use these dollars for buying gift cards for parents. We've had childcare purchases. We've had people purchase parenting education curricula that they felt they needed. We've had people use the dollars to pay for speakers to come to their community and present. We've had small pieces of this used to support staff and staffing. And the list really can go on. Again, I think what we would like to emphasize is that we know that every community is going to have very different needs. We expect that those are in line with the deliverables, but if you have questions about, if you're awarded and you have questions about can we use it for this, then it becomes a dialogue and discussion that we'll work through with you. Other questions?
Thank you, Tim. Just as a note, there was a question about what the protective factor survey looks like. So that link is now in the chat box.
Thanks,
And Fabiola is asking who is eligible. I'm not sure if she's still on with us. I did ask for clarity on that. I'm wondering if we can speak to eligibility for the grant. I'm not sure if that's exactly what she's looking for, but maybe starting there.
Okay, excellent. So what we do have as eligibility, I think there's a section in the RFA itself that addresses eligibility, but in general, what we are looking for that is that there is a fiscal entity that is a not-for-profit that can receive funding. So we need to have a fiscal agent because we are sending community. So it needs to be affiliated as a not-for-profit entity. Eligibility also is related to a coalition. We see this as coalition work. And so our expectation is that to receive the funding, there needs to be a coalition that is actively working together to provide these pieces to the community. Kate or somebody else help me. What am I missing there?
No, I think that you've covered the main points, Tim, and it is covered also in the application, what we're looking for. So I think that, that's good to refer to also.
We have another question coming in from Kualo asking what is the duration for using the grant? So I think they're just asking about the term of the grant.
Yep. It is March 1, 2021 to February 28, 2022. From our NYSPEP members, Rosanna, Susan, Kate, anything that you can think of that we haven't covered that you'd like to chime in with?
Oh, no, I think it was very comprehensive.
Any other questions?
We have another question from Angela just asking, what is the due date? I think asking what is the due date to submit for the RFA?
That is a great question.
January 22nd.
Thank you, Susan. I was drawing a blank. So I froze. January 22nd.
There was a little bit of glitch there. Maybe you just want to repeat that one more time.
Yep, January 22nd.
Thank you. And we have another question coming from Pam. Does NYSPEP offer parent education curricula and the training to be credentialed for them?
The short answer to that is no. NYSPEP doesn't necessarily endorse a specific parenting education curriculum, although, and somebody else, Susan or Kate or anybody jump in, we would be able to offer a number of different suggestions of evidence-based promising practice related parenting curriculums. There are a lot out there that we think are really, really good, but we're not technically endorsing any of them. Part of that's going to be a community to community. What's the community hoping to address? Kate or Susan or anybody?
That's definitely the stance that NYSPEP has taken. We're not in a position of endorsing parenting education curricula. However, we have members who routinely offer training for programs that they are using and have credentialed trainers or endorsed trainers to provide the training. And what NYSPEP has tried to do is be a clearinghouse for those training opportunities so that you would get that information through being a NYSPEP member, being on our distribution list. And if you had a specific question, You could pose it to Tim and Kristen as co-chairs, and they could forward it on to the members to see if anyone knows of an upcoming event, or if they can put you in touch with specific trainers to set something up in your community.
Or if they could recommend certain curriculum that they think is worthwhile.
Sometimes, Pam, that depends on your target audience, what's the best fit. And so it'd be helpful to have a conversation more about what you're thinking and how we could support that.
Who would I have that conversation with?
I'd start with Tim and Kristen, but we're happy to follow up with you.
Yep. And I just included my email in the chat box so people can
I can further explain.
And we'll perfect.
Okay, great. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Could I also add to that on the website, the NYSPEP website, under resources for providers, there is a compendium of parenting interventions for children 0 to 5. That would be also another place to look.
Okay. All right. I'm on the website now trying to look at stuff. Okay. So I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it looks like that might be all we have for questions at this time.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, I cannot tell you how much we appreciate your interest in this work. We are certainly available to answer questions if you have other questions. I really want to thank Kate and Susan for their contributions. Rosanna, thank you so much for monitoring the chat box. That is so helpful. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Again, thank you, everybody. We hope to see an application from you and look forward to having you explore NYSPEP more. If you are interested in NYSPEP, regardless of whether you apply, we'd really like to welcome you to partner with us on this work. So thank you again, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.